Hi, everyone, and welcome to Thursday's edition of Gentle Movement at Home. It's great that everyone was able to come today. My name is Jen Hansen, and I'm the Director of Education at PNBC, and I'm joined today by Neil Pearson, physiotherapist and yoga instructor. And Neil has been doing, if this is not your first time, you'll know that Neil has been doing a lot of these sessions for us. And so we're really pleased to welcome him back today. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. So we're recording this session, although none of you are on camera, but you can access the video afterwards on our Facebook page or on our YouTube channel. If you do have any questions or you need any help, you can communicate with the tech team and with me through the chat, or you can email us at education@pnbc.ca. If you have questions for Neil that you would like answered at the end of the session, please put them in the Q&A, and we'll take a few minutes at the end just to talk about the questions. And finally, we are going to launch a poll at the end of this session, and that just allows you to give us feedback. We'd really love to know what you think of today's session. Upcoming gentle movement sessions next week: Tuesday, May 5th at 12 with Neil, Thursday, May 7th at 11 with Neil, and then Friday, May 8th, we have Carrie Jacobson, a physiotherapist. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Neil, and wishing you all a really great, relaxing practice today.
Thanks, Jen, and thanks everyone for tuning in and watching these on YouTube later on. We've had some other questions that we want to address a little bit before we start in the practice today. So if the practice we're going to do today will be from a seated position. So you can do most of this from sitting in a chair, and you can do, if you want to sit on the floor like I am, well, actually I'm sitting on a little tufted, a little cushion. So if you want to sort of get yourself prepared, we're going to start in seated. There'll be some options to change things around a little bit. And we'll move into a laying position if that's something you can do. But you also, well, I'll show you how to do some of these, the little movements we do in laying down from a chair. We'll talk about that. And then we'll come back to either coming back to a seated position at the end, or you have the option of being able to lay down just as we do that final check-in and final seeing how things are going. So get that stuff ready if you're not quite there yet, and feel free to move around while I'm just quickly answering one of the questions that we got had to do with what can you do if you're in a wheelchair. So there's two things that I want to address around this. One is that there's so many different reasons that people can be in a wheelchair. It's hard to exactly know how to suggest to a person what to do in a wheelchair. If you are in a wheelchair and you're able to move your arms and able to move your legs, then I think it'll probably be a lot easier for you to decide on how to change things around a little bit. But if we were to do things standing, which we won't be doing today, but if you're in a chair or in a wheelchair and we move to standing, if you have normal sensation in your legs, you can put your feet on the floor and feel that sensation of your feet on the floor. Sort of push your feet down a little bit like you're standing up. And then if you can move your arms around to do the movements that we might be doing in standing with the spine or with the arms, to go ahead and do those there. And then the other option would be, if you're not able to do those things, would be to imagine the movement, which can be really quite a challenge to do if you haven't done that a whole lot. It's a little bit like an athlete imagining being able to do something that they aren't able to do just yet, like jumping over a high bar higher. So if you've never tried that before and you feel like that's a movement that I think I can imagine doing, then give it a try. Otherwise, I think there's so many options and so many complexities to why someone would be in a wheelchair or someone would be in a chair, that there are times when you're going to need to reach out to a movement professional, such as a physical therapist, who would give you some guidance as to how you would modify things for yourself. I'm sorry that doesn't answer all the questions around this, but hopefully it'll give you a little bit. And next time, we've been given a bit of a question about making sure that we do a movement exactly right. So I'm going to wait and we'll address that in the next Tuesday session. So come on back and we'll talk a little bit at the beginning about the movements and what we do when we're not quite sure whether we're doing the movement correctly or not. So come on back next week. For right now, hopefully you're in a place that's in a seated position. Get your spine a little bit tall while you're sitting here. If your shoulders are feeling tense, just give them a bit of a wiggle around or wiggle your spine or hips or neck around a bit. And then see if you can come to a nicer, comfortable, more comfortable position. It may not be fully comfortable. It may not feel fully nice, but just find the better place while you're sitting. If you can, have your back away from the back of the chair, do that. If for today it feels like the best thing to do is to support your back with the chair, then do that. Start there. It's okay. So take your attention to your breath now. So feel the sensation of the air as it comes in and feel the sensation of the air as it goes out. As best as you can, let go of the other things you've been thinking about and really focus your attention right on the sensations around your nose as the air goes in and as the air goes out. I know some of you may feel like you need to breathe in and out through your mouth and your nose. That's perfectly fine if that's what feels best. But the air that is going in through your nose and that is going out through your nose, notice the sensations of that. If you feel you want to change it right off, go ahead. If you can just let it be and just notice the sensation. See how long it's taking you to breathe in and how long it's taking you to breathe out. Notice if the pace of your breath changes from the beginning of the inhale towards the end. It's the same speed that the air is moving, the same as your exhale. Does it feel the same speed all the way through? Notice that little bit at the end of the inhale where you change direction and come back. And that spot at the end of the exhale where you change direction and come back to inhale. Just notice, maybe you pause there, or maybe it's nice and smooth, or maybe it feels like an end and a new beginning. Just notice whatever's happening. Then shift your attention to your body and notice how your body moves as you breathe. Maybe you can feel movements around the sides of your ribs. Maybe you can feel movement around over your heart and chest and sternum area. Maybe you feel movement down in the lower belly or the lower back as you breathe in and out. Just notice the sensation. And remember, you can pause anytime you want. If you lose your breath, if your body starts to get tight, if you feel like it would be the right thing to do is move around now, go ahead and do that. And then come on back when you're ready. Stay with that gentle awareness of your breath. And know that the reason we're asking you to do this is because by practicing awareness of your breath, you're more likely to notice while you're doing the movements. Once we get to the movements, a lot of times when we have pain, we hold our breath or our breath gets really short and shallow. And so by starting by paying attention to your breath, we're hoping that you'll notice if that's happening while you're moving. And so we really believe, and a lot of people tell us, that if we can keep our breath flowing more freely, less tense, not holding our breath, if we can do those things when we move, that we can regain more ease of movement with that kind of a process. So that's what it's about. So if it feels hard to do, stick with it. As we've said with all these other things, if it starts to feel like it's giving you something you don't want, it's making you anxious or fearful, then it's best to pause, regroup, maybe you try to do it again, and if that keeps on happening, we'll need to try to shift things around for you. But for now, what I'd like you to do is a little bit of play with this awareness. So if you can feel the air coming in and out through your nose, what I'd like you to do is to change your awareness. So next time you breathe in, notice the sensation of the air as it comes in through your right nostril. And as you breathe out, notice the sensation of the air as it comes out to the left. When you breathe back in again, feel it going in the left. And when you breathe back out, feel it going out the right. So you're changing your awareness. You're not changing how you breathe. You're shifting your awareness. As you breathe in, you're aware of the sensation of the air going in on the right. Then as you breathe out, you're aware of the sensation of the air coming out on the left. You keep your attention on the left side as you breathe in, and then you shift your awareness back to the right nostril as you breathe out. Just keep on with that pattern. Now, as you do this, you may notice that you try to breathe more on one side to the other, and that's fine. If you can, just let that go. Stay with that easy breath. And what you're doing is you're shifting your awareness. You're noticing one side, then noticing the other side. Now you can stop this anytime you want. You can pause. If it feels good, you can carry on. If you want to try a little bit more with this, then we can add in your hands. So as you feel the air going into the right, you're going to have your right palm open and your left palm, your fingers are just curled in. And then when you feel the air go out the left, you open up your left palm, curl your right fingers in as you feel the air going out the left. And as you breathe back in again and you feel it coming into the left, keep your hand in the same place. Then as you breathe out, you curl your left fingers in, open your right palm, and feel the sensation of the air going out the right side. So you stay with that same breathing pattern, but the idea is with your hands, whichever side your awareness is on, that palm is open and the other hand is curled in. Now, part of the reason we're asking you to do this, because people have told us that when they take their attention from one side of the body to the other side of the body, there's something about that that helps with pain, that can help with relaxation. But it can be a bit of a challenge at first, because I've asked you to do a number of things: to pay attention to the sensation of air around your nostrils, to shift that awareness from one side to the other side, but also to use your hands at the same time. So if you're continuing on with this, sometimes people find it's helpful to divide their attention so that the right palm is open as you feel the air go in through the right. The left palm comes open and right shuts as you feel the sensation of the air go at the left. You feel the air go back in the left, your hands don't move this time. But then when you feel the sensation of the air going out the right, then your right hand opens, left palm goes back in. And just keep on with that pattern. Remember, you can pause anytime you want. Now, if you're still working on that, let it go now. Move your body around just a little bit. Give your shoulders a bit of a shake. If there's tension in your body, release that. Just let your hands rest on your lap now. Find a little bit of length of your spine again. And let's just start to move the spine just a little bit. So start by bringing your chin down towards your chest and rounding your back just a bit, and then coming back up just a bit. So a little bit of movement like this. I'll show you from the side. So it's just a little bit of bending and a little bit of arching, not too much. The idea here is to practice just like you were just practicing, so you can feel what's happening with your breath. You don't have to have the awareness going one side to the other like we did before. But for now, you're just noticing what's happening with your breath, and you're doing this gentle movement of your body. Remember, the idea here is don't crash through any discomfort or pain. If you move and you say that's far enough, then just go to that place. And maybe today you choose, instead of challenging the edge of where the pain is, that spot where you move and there's where the pain starts to get more, maybe today you notice where that spot is and you say, I'm going to stay away from there. I'm just going to move where it feels better, where it doesn't provoke the pain at all. Or maybe today's a day where you want to just go to that edge, and just to get to the edge, you give it a little nudge and then move away as you're doing this gentle movement. If you're still doing this, it's time to pause now. If you pause, that's fine. And then we'll try a little bit of a side bend. So again, your hands are just resting on your thighs. If you're in a chair, your spine's just away from the back of the chair a little bit, and you're just coming into a bit of a side bend. And we'll go from one side to the other today if that feels okay with you. If you know the best thing for you to do is just do one side at a time and do the other side, go ahead with that. But as you're doing this, you're noticing what's happening with your breath as you move from side to side. You're not trying to go as far as you can right now. You're just moving in a gentle, rhythmic way, hopefully in a way that feels good, or a way that doesn't leave you provoked. So the movement may be really small, might be something more like this, or it might be something with a bigger movement. It's up to you. You need to decide that for yourself. Come back to the center now. If you need to move or shift anything, go ahead and do that. Find that bit of a tall spine again. Release tension where you don't need, and we'll try a little bit of a rotation. Same idea, small movement, just move to the side and then come back into the other side and come back. And remember, maybe you're going to that spot where you say that's enough. Or maybe you're just moving in a place where you know, yeah, this feels okay. I know if I do this, it's a nice movement. It's not going to provoke the pain. It seems to make sense to actually go to the edge and give it a nudge now and then. But there's also a benefit in just being able to move in a way that feels good or doesn't leave you provoked when you do it. So if you're still doing the rotation, come back to the center again. Find that tall spine again. Notice what's happening with your breath. Take your arms up, either take them straight up to the sky or just wherever they go to, and just reach up with your spine a bit more and your neck a bit more and your arms a little bit more. Keep breathing while you do it and let your arms come on back down again. And just try that a couple more times. Keep your breath flowing as you go. So as your arm comes up, you're still breathing in and breathing out as you're trying to lift your spine a bit taller, keeping your breath flowing instead of holding your breath while you do that. Because often as you lift your arms up, you feel yourself just grip with your breath and grip with your body. Try not to let that happen today. Then let your shoulders relax down again, roll them around a little bit. Even with this movement, remember, the idea is not to provoke the pain, to push the pain. The idea is if you have any pain or discomfort or tension, just go up to that edge or just stay for today away from the edge just a little bit and enjoy the feeling of moving without having to challenge yourself. Go the other way with your shoulders just a little bit. Right. Remember to keep on paying attention to your breath. Even as you're moving your body, notice what's happening with your breath. Then let your body relax. Pause again. I'm going to get you to take your arms straight out in front of you. Take your arms back this way today. So when your arms come back, it's like your chest comes up a little bit, but you can keep on looking forward. Remember, same idea is just to only move as far as feels comfortable. If your arms aren't doing this, what you could do is you can imagine the movement of your arms coming back and your shoulders stretching a bit and your chest opening. Or you can create the sensation as if you are keeping your breath flowing while you do it. And let your arms relax down again. Bring your attention back to your breath again now. And shift your awareness out to your body. Now notice your body. Notice what's happening in my body right now. If there is pain or tension or discomfort, just check in for a moment, see how that's doing, and then do your very best to let that go and notice what else is happening in your body. Maybe you're looking for the non-pain sensations of your body, the subtle non-pain, non-discomfort sensations of your body. It can be hard to do that if the pain's really big, but you feel the pain and then you say, all right, what else can I feel in my body beyond the pain? Can I look through the pain or under the pain? I know it sort of sounds weird, but sometimes that's what you need to do is come up with an image of how can I find those non-pain sensations of my physical self. Now for a moment, what I'd like you to do is to pay attention to the sensations through the fronts of your legs. Maybe a little bit harder to do while you're seated in a cross-legged position, but give it a try. Notice the sensations along the fronts of your legs. Then notice the sensations in the backs of your legs. Each time you notice the sensation, check it out and let it go. Now take your attention to your torso and notice the sensations through the front of your torso. Now you take your attention to the back of your torso and notice the sensations there. Each time you notice something, you just check it out just briefly. Then just look around and see what other sensations are there. If your mind keeps on being drawn back to the pain, keep on trying to look for the other sensations, the subtle sensations of the body. Now do the same thing with your arms. Notice the sensations along the fronts of them. And notice the sensations on the backs. And then do the same thing with your neck and head. Notice the sensations along the front of your neck, head, and face. Notice the sensations on the back of your neck and your head. And then just stay with the body awareness just a little bit longer. Notice the sensations on the right side of your body. Your head and your neck and your shoulder and arm and torso and leg. And then notice the sensations on the left side of your body. Head, neck, shoulder, arm, torso, hip, legs, foot. And then start to move the spine a little bit more. But for now, what I'm going to get you to do is to take your legs straight out in front of you. So if your legs have been crossed for a while, you may find that they need to be sort of stretched out a bit and moved around a little bit. If you're sitting in a chair, if it's safe for you to do so, you have to make sure that the chair is not going to move away or roll away. But if you can sit at the edge of the chair and put your legs out in front of you, you can start from there. So once you find that position, once you feel like your spine's a bit tall and your legs are a little bit long, just a little bit of stretch maybe in the back of your legs, just pause right here. Notice what's happening in your breath right now. Notice what's happening in your body right now. If there is any pain, tension, or discomfort, notice what's happening there. Maybe you feel like this is already placed as a bit of a challenge. If you're feeling like you're sitting down and you already have a challenge, you can actually put your hands back behind you if your wrists and your shoulders and arms are okay with that, and rest back here. Or you can be in this position. Once again, take your arms up, feel your breath keep going. Don't hold your breath while you do this. Try to keep your breath easy. Reach up so your spine can reach up, your neck can reach up, and then let your shoulders and arms come down and feel some relaxation there. Create a sensation like your legs are reaching long. Just a little bit of effort in your legs, a little bit of effort in your spine coming up. As your hands rest on the front of your thighs, and what I'd like you to do is to hinge forward from your hips. So instead of rounding your spine this time, you're just going to hinge forward. So I'm going to show you from the side again. So if you're from the side, your spine is tall and you're just hinging here only as far as you can go. So as you can see, I don't go very far in this position. So I'm just going to come out to here. Rather than rounding my back, I'll keep my spine tall and I'll come back up tall again. And then I'll just bend forward like this and then come back again. It's a little bit like a bowing movement from a seated with your legs straight out in front of you. Now, again, if you're finding that that's already a big stretch, you can put your arms back and then just come forward to say, that's enough, and come on back again. The idea here is to notice what's happening in your breath, what's happening in your body as you do this. Just go to that just right spot and move away. And if you think, oh, that was too much, I need to move less next time, then do that. Or maybe you pause back here and you just say, staying right here is the place where I can keep my breath flowing, my body, excuse me, and my body moving freely. I'm just going to grab a quick glass of water, so shift around if you want. All right, get my voice back again now. So legs back out in front of you. Spine is tall. If you're sitting in a chair, put your hands on the arms of the chair. If you're sitting down on the floor, put your arms behind you. Maybe you can put your hands down on the floor like this. Let your spine come back. Pull your shoulder blades back a bit. Lift your chest a bit. Reach with your legs just a little bit and let go of it. And just do a little movement from here. So it's movement of your mid back, movement of your upper back, maybe a little bit of your neck as you do this. And notice what's happening with your breath. Notice what's happening in your body as you do it. Hopefully you can find that amount of movement that feels like it's a nice movement today, like it's not provoking you. Sometimes it's that if it's easy to smile, you know you're probably doing a good thing right now. And then release that. Come on back forward again. Your legs are still up in front of you. I'm going to try adding in just a little bit more here. So take your arms back up again. Get your spine a little bit tall, your neck a little tall. Let your arms come down. Relax your back. Put your hands on your thighs. Keep your breath flowing. Hinge forward to that just right spot. For you, it may be way further than me. Once you find that spot, notice what's happening with your breath. Notice what's happening with your body tension. And then make a decision. Either stay here this time and see if you can stay here for a few breaths, or come back whenever you're ready. If you want a little bit more challenge, then let your spine round forward and then come on back up to where you feel like you're at that hinge spot. So you're at that hinged forward spot, so you feel safe, you think you're okay here. But now let your spine round a little bit from here and come on back up. You're not trying to force this. This isn't about seeing how much you can stretch stuff. This is about seeing how much you can do this movement in a way that would be good for your body, that you still feel your breath flowing. You still feel like your body tension is not building up. So if you feel that happening, or it starts to feel like it's not safe, pause, relax, put your arms back, move your legs around, maybe come back into a cross-legged position. Anytime you want to, just shift things around. Now, if you're still working on it, come on back up, sitting up tall again. I'm going to get you to take your arms back behind you again. So I've got my hands out beside my body here. If you feel okay to have your hands behind your body more, where you wouldn't be able to see them in this view, go ahead and do that, but this is fine. So you push down with your hands a bit. If you're sitting in the chair, you just be pushing down a little bit on the arms of the chair and coming into that gentle mid-back, upper back, back bend. But this time while you're doing this, if you want to, you can push down with your hands a bit, lift your chin up a bit, and if you want to go so far as to see what would happen if I push down with my heels and my hands to start to lift my hips, my buttocks up off the floor or off the chair a bit. So you can try that a little bit. You sort of pull your shoulders back, reach down with your arms, keep your breath flowing. If you get to that spot where you feel like that's enough, pause there, or say that's enough for now and move away and come on back. If you feel like it'd be okay to go further, push down with your hands, push down with your heels, and maybe you can get your hips to feel like they get lighter, or maybe you can lift them off the floor, off the cushion, then let your hips come on back down. Come on back to a seated tall position, roll your wrists around a little bit, move them back and forth, move your shoulders around a little bit, let go of some of that tension again, and then come back to that tall seated position. Your shoulders relax. Notice your breath again. If it feels like your breath has gotten faster, just let it slow down, or actively slow your breath down, make your exhale a bit longer. If there's parts of your body that have gotten tense from doing this, maybe around your shoulders or your hips or your wrists, take your attention there and see if you can create some more relaxation in those muscles. Now, if you're in a chair and you're okay sitting at the edge of the chair, then come on back to the edge of the chair. If you're sitting down on the floor or up on a cushion like me, take your legs back out in front of you again. Find that right spot here. So remember, maybe it's back with your hands here, or maybe you're fine up tall. This time you're going to take your legs away from each other a little bit. So I'm only going to just take them away this far. So come back here and show you a bit more. I'm just going to take my legs about this far away from each other. If you're sitting in a chair, you can just bring your legs apart like that. And so your legs are a little bit away from each other. You still feel that tall spine. Take your arms up if that feels all right, and just reach up. Find some length in your spine, length in your neck. Let your shoulders come down. Try to release tension around your shoulders, neck, jaw, eyes, tongue. And maybe this is the right place to stay, or maybe again, the best place to be is with your hands back here behind you. You may find that even sitting up in this position, there's so much tension around your hips that you know you can't stay there. And if that's the way, then lean back just a little bit, or maybe bend your knees just a little bit. And if you do that, it might release some of the tension there. The idea is to start from a position of some ease. Feel your breath flowing. Take your arms back up again. And then hinge forward again, right to the front, and come on back up. And then you're going to go towards your right foot. So you just go towards the right foot. Same idea. You're hinging. You're not trying to round your back. You're just coming into a bit of a bend at the hips and back up. Now, if your arms up here is getting too much, let your arms come down, and you can just reach with your hands as you do that gentle bend. Hinge and bend towards the front, and then go over towards the other leg or foot. however much feels good for you. So from one side and come on back up. Notice your breath while you do it. Notice your body tension, then go straight. Hinge back up. Go to the other side, hinge forward, come on back up again. If you're still going, time to pause. You can put your hands back again, shift your hips around. If you're sitting in a chair or on the floor, you can come back to a more supported seat. So get your spine up a little bit tall again. Slow down your breath again. If your body feels tight, see if you can let it release. So you want to stop whenever you feel like it's the right thing to do. There's no way for us to tell you exactly the right number of movements. We're trying to get you to do movements in a way that will help to change the health of the tissue of your body. No matter what's happening there, gentle movement can improve the health of the tissue. We also know that gentle movement can change the chemistry of the body in a way that sometimes releases the chemicals that help us with pain relief. And it seems like that works better if we're not pushing it too hard or challenging ourselves too hard. So from that seated position, whether you're in your chair or sitting down on the floor, find that tall spine again. Put your hands either down on the side of the floor beside you, or if you're in a chair, you can just have your hands on your lap. Take your right arm and lift it straight up towards the sky. If your shoulder's not doing that today, just let your arm there, and you can imagine your arm going up. Take your arm up and come into a side bend. If you're sitting in a chair, you might be limited by if there's a arm to the chair. If you are, just go to that spot. Then let your arm come on back down. Lift the other arm up towards the sky. Come into a side bend to the other side. Now here you can start to move further if it feels okay today. So if it feels okay to really reach up with your spine and come into a big side bend way down here, come on, do that. If that doesn't feel like the right thing, if you can't keep your breath flowing, if you can't keep your body tension from getting really tight, then do a smaller movement. And if it feels okay to sort of flow with this, to flow down to one side, come on back up, lift the other arm up, come down to the other side. You get to choose which would feel better. It might feel better to almost make it a discrete lift up, come into the side bend, come on back to the center, let your arm come down, lift the other arm up, come into the side bend. Only go so as far as it feels like it's safe. It's okay to go to a spot where you say, that feels good. It's not even going to the edge today. If that's what your best challenge, your best idea for today is, go ahead and do that. And come on back up to center, let your arms down. And I really hope that you've been listening to these ideas that it's okay to pause whenever you want to pause. It's okay to shift around and change what you're doing. It's okay not to move as much as I'm showing you the movement. I'm really just showing you movement so you have an idea of the kind of movement to do. I'm not trying to show you how far you should move. That's part of what we're hoping you'll be able to explore with this. Be curious about this. So this time we're going to get you to do another spinal movement. Move the hips a bit while you do it, but we're going to come into a rotation. This time what I'd like you to do is see if you feel okay with holding it. So bring your left hand behind you. So if you're sitting in a chair, put your hand on the arm of the chair, and maybe the other hand grabs the arm of the chair here, and you can draw yourself into more of a twist. Or if you're sitting on the floor, one hand can be on the floor, one hand on your knee, and just gently use your body and your muscles to bring yourself into a twist. Find the place where you know you can stay for a few breaths. Now maybe that's just a little bit of a movement, or maybe it's a bigger movement today. And remember, you can go to the place where you feel like that doesn't change the pain at all. And for today, you can go to the spot where you say, there's just a little bit more, but I know I'm okay. You get to that spot, and your job here is to keep your breath flowing. The job here is to notice what's happening in your body, to scan through your body just like you did at the beginning, where you notice your legs and your torso and your spine and your shoulders and your neck and face. If something is getting tight, maybe you can let it go a bit, or maybe it's time to let go and come back to the center. If you're still on
Hi, everyone. Looks like Neil's camera just lost connection, so I'm sure he'll be back in a second.
Oh, you've
Neil,
lost me? Yes.
we lost you for a minute, and you know
Oh
what? Now
no.
your camera, but you're back. That's okay. But your camera is actually showing you sideways.
Don't do that
So
at home.
we're defying the laws of gravity here.
Okay, let's see what we can do.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for everyone for your patience. This is
Is that any better?
uh, oh no, actually it was, and then hang on, it's no, we're still
Still sideways.
sideways.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you who've been watching, find a comfortable position, come back to your breath, release tension in your body with movements. I'll need to move my camera around just a little bit here to see if I can get
That's
it to
better.
reorient.
Yeah.
So that's the right way, but that's what oh, here we go.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Got
Success.
it? Yeah?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. That's great. Thanks, Neil.
All right. It must be Zoom overload this morning.
I think it might be. I think everyone in the world is on Zoom at the moment, so
Probably.
it happens. All
Oh,
right. Thanks, Neil.
you're welcome. All right. So that's actually a opportune.
Neil, you've just frozen again.
Oh, did I lose you again?
Oh, yeah, but now you're back, but now you're on the side again.
Oh my gosh.
I
Isn't that weird?
it's not liking your connection at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try
Okay.
one more time, and if it doesn't work, we'll maybe just have some final words from you.
All right. All right. Well, you're hearing me okay right now?
Yeah, this is fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if by chance this leaves us again, then end as we have been with the other sessions of finding a comfortable position, taking your attention back and noticing what's happening in your breath now, what's happening in your body now, what's happening with your thoughts and emotions in your heart now. And so just check in as well with what's happening with the pain. So if you do lose me, sort of go back to that. For now, come to a seated position. You can choose sitting on the floor or on a cushion. You can choose sitting in a chair, or you can choose laying down on your back. Wherever you get to, find a more comfortable spot, make your spine get tall again. And come back to that breath that we did at the beginning. So your palms are like this if it feels okay. Have your right palm open, your left hand, fingers curled in. Notice the sensation of the air as you breathe in, going in through the right nostril. As you breathe out, feel the sensation of the air going out the left as you open up your left hand and curl your right fingers in. So you're dividing your attention between your hands, the feeling of the air coming in or out one side. And as you feel the air go out the right side, the right palm opens, the left palm curls in or fingers curl in. When you breathe back in again, you'll feel the air coming in through the right. When you breathe out, you'll feel the air going out to the left and the left palm opens up. So divide your attention between the nostril, where you're feeling the air moving, and the hands opening and closing, depending on which side you're feeling the air coming in and out. Great. Now, if you're in a chair, just let that pause now. You can let that breath go again, or if you feel good, you can keep on working with it. Stay there. If you're seated on the floor, we're going to get you to come on down onto your back. So I'll go in this position today. So you lay down your back, have a pillow underneath your head. Just find that place where your body can just relax down into the floor a bit. Release the tension. Bring your knees up to your chest if that feels okay. If you're seated in a chair, put your hands on your thighs and just come forward a little bit. If you're in the chair, you're going to roll your upper body around a bit on your hips, if you can do that. If you're laying down, you're just going to roll your knees around on your body a bit. And then go the other way, just rolling your hips around just a bit. keeping your breath flowing, not crashing into things that you know are going to provoke this for later. Then let your legs come down to the floor. You can put your arms on the floor beside you, cross your left ankle on your right knee. If you're seated in a chair and you can do this, go ahead and do this. We're going to come into a twist. So from here, you let your knees come down to the side. If you are in the chair, you're going to once again move your torso into a twist over top of your hips. So a little bit like the twist we did before, your hands can be on your thighs or your hands can be on the arms of the chair. If you're here, you can let your hips go down the one side, whatever feels good, then come on back up, down the other side. You can do a big movement all the way down on both sides if you want to. And then when you're ready, you cross over to the other side. So if you're in a chair, once again, if you can cross your legs, cross your legs. If that's not going to work for you for the chair or your body, then just work on the twist of your body to one side and then the other, turning your torso over top of your hips. If you're on your back, just moving this way, finding that just right amount. So we've been doing a number of things today where you've been taking your body from one side to the other. Sometimes people find that shift of attention from one side over to the other side and back and forth, whether it's with your breath or whether it's with body tension awareness like we were doing, or whether it's with movement of your body across the midline and back to the center. This can actually be helpful for a lot of people, so it's worth a try. If you're still moving, let your knees come on back down. If you are laying down, you can be in this position with your legs straight or your legs bent. If you want to, you can put your legs straight with a blanket or a pillow rolled up underneath your knees. I'm going to come back to a seated position here again. So if you're all right with sitting up, then sit up. If the best thing to do is to stay laying down, then be in that laying down position. If you're in a chair, let your body come back against the back of the chair. Find a comfortable place for your arms and hands and shoulders. If you need to wiggle something around a little bit, just release some tension, do that. Just pause for a moment. If you can, take yourself to that place where you can notice what's happening inside you. So you're watching your breath. Rather than controlling your breath, you're noticing what's happening in my breath right now. Just notice whatever's happening there. And then shift out to your body and notice whatever's happening in your body now. Take a quick scan through your legs and your torso and your shoulders and arms and neck and head. Maybe you'll notice discomfort, tension, or pain. Maybe you'll notice a sense of energy in your body or diminishment of energy in your body. Just notice whatever's there. Check in with what's happening with the thoughts. Sometimes practices like this can make your thoughts more. Sometimes it can make it less. Notice whatever's happening there. Same with emotions. If there's any emotions, just notice what's happening there for a moment. And if it feels okay, take your attention back to your chest, over your heart, the place of you where there's compassion and unconditional love. And just notice what's happening there right now. Sometimes when we approach movement, when there's pain, we lose some of that compassion for self. And so it's worthwhile to just check in and see how you're approaching movement around that. So as you've seen today, I've been talking a little bit about this idea of you can use movement to challenge the edge, but you can also use movement just because movement is something that's good for the body, that can change the chemistry of the body and even can change the health of the tissues. And so sometimes the choice you might want to make as you're doing these movement classes is a choice of saying, I'm going to move within that area where I know I'm okay, where the movement isn't going to provoke things. And some days you do the movement in a way where you'll challenge that edge, where you'll go up to where you feel it's harder to breathe here. It's harder to keep your body tension low, where there's a little bit of an increase in pain, but you know you're safe. So you have those choices any day, regardless of what I'm saying or any of the other movement instructors are saying. You can choose to challenge the pain a bit, or you can choose to just move to a place where you don't feel any significant increase in pain for that day, or no increase in the pain at all. All right, so we'll leave it at that for today, Jen. Hope you're still there.
I am indeed still here, and I'm glad that
good.
you're still here too. Yeah, and I'm glad all of our participants are still here. Yeah, as Ariel, our colleague, let people know in the chat, amazingly, that was our first technical glitch. So I think we're doing pretty well on that front.
Yeah, yeah, and it wasn't too hard to fix either.
That's right. Possibility is very high that we would have more. Okay, Neil, we've got, thanks for that. And thanks to everyone for coming again. We've just got the poll up, so if you can do that before you leave, that would be great. I also have 2 questions.
Okay.
Okay, so Neil, the first question from Anne, what types of movement should be avoided when sciatica symptoms are significant?
Wow, great question. I mean, the first thing to understand is sciatica symptoms really means that there's pain in your leg that's coming from your back. So what I'm going to say is what's the more common thing. So, and because there are times when we have sciatic because a nerve in our back is actually inflamed. And so when that's happening, usually if there's a chemical irritation around the nerve, we do need to be more gentle. Not because it will cause harm to the nerve, but because it's almost like it's angry. The inflammation makes it, not much movement is required to actually create more inflammatory response. So typically it's the movement a little bit like we did say, where a leg or both legs are straight out. The most common movement that people should be, I would say, wouldn't say avoid, but be more gentle with, is the movement where your leg is straight and you're taking your body into that forward bend. Because as you go that direction, you're taking the nerve and you're making it longer. And when the nerve is irritated, doing that to it could actually cause and increase the inflammation. However, if you were to bend forward, it's not like you can't do this. You could say, I go to the spot where I feel like it doesn't increase that, or I go to the spot where I feel like there's just a little bit, and sort of go there and come out. That kind of a thing would be good to do, to actually move to a really, really gentle edge and move away, because that movement is going to change the tissue to make it more healthy. So I hope that makes a bit of sense. I gotta say, whenever there's any questions like this about diagnoses, because everybody is so different, the very best advice is talk to a movement professional who can get more information from you to decide what's the best advice.
Yeah, thanks for that too, Neil. And I just noticed we're getting like quite specific questions about particular conditions. And so I do just want to remind people that we're not able to offer any medical advice. Like, first of all, it's very unsafe to do so without a qualified therapist understanding the person as and their injury and all of that. So I just want to put that disclaimer in there. And so if you do have specific medical questions, this is probably not the best place to put them. I can always ask them, and Neil, you can always say if you're not comfortable giving that advice. It's going to be general.
Yep.
Yeah. So I've got 2 more.
Okay.
One from Christine. And I think this one is really common. I think a lot of us are sort of feeling this, because she is wondering about, when your back starts to hurt, your upper back starts to hurt due to too much computer and tablet use and stress. And I can imagine that this is a really common experience for everybody right now who, while we're social isolating, we spend a lot more time on the computer.
Yeah.
So do you have any particular stretches you might do, or movements that you might do to help that, Neil?
Yes, I think what I'd start with is the idea is that, so what the question has said is that this is due to a physical force on the body, and it's also related to stress. And I'm guessing the person's talking about more of a cognitive or emotional stress. And so the first thing I would say is if those are the two things that seem to be the big factors involved in here, then we need to work on them both. And one way that we could work on the body is obviously to start to move the body in the opposite direction. So if it's this position, then just trying to get the body to move that way. You don't have to see how far it can go and stretch it really madly, but just moving the body back and forth in that position can often be a really, really great way to relieve some of the physical load and stress. You can use your breath as well by getting yourself into a comfortable position and actually creating a sensation, or as you breathe, try to expand that part of your body, because your ribs do move a bit at the back of your body as you breathe. And so you can create the sensation that you're breathing into that area, or try to move your body in that area when you breathe. And then of course the other piece is the more the stress management. Do the things that you know work for you to help you with decreased stress. If you're not sure it's time to play, maybe it's brushing your daughter's hair, walking your dog, standing outside and just looking at nature, whatever it is that would bring joy to you. The vast majority of those things, music, singing, all that stuff, can actually help to decrease stress. But there's so many answers to that question of what do you do to decrease that psycho-emotional stress. My recommendation would be start looking and just keep on looking. What we often do is we look for the thing that changes it, and we find one thing that works and we stick with that. But the people who do best around these things are the ones who say, I've learned I can do this and I can do this and I can do this, and when it's really bad, I stick them all together and now I get an even better effect. Hope that helps.
Thanks, Neil. And maybe some people don't know, but Pain BC, we have a website called Live Plan B, that's BE.ca. And really that's an educational resource for people living with pain. And it has a lot of different resources, including some from you, Neil, around certain stress reduction and relaxation techniques that people might find helpful. Yeah, so I'll put that in the chat. I'll put that into the chat. And then the other question, I think, is on a similar sort of similar vein, Neil. Again, just like more around neck stretches. If I think people are feeling a lot of tension in their neck, as well as up the back. Would you give the sort of similar advice or similar approach for that?
Yeah, I think so. The one just added thing I would put in here is a lot of times the position that we get into with our neck, it's that forward head position where the head's out there, down there. And so one of the bit of a different stretch for the neck is one that a lot of people find just drawing the head back, almost like someone's going to touch your nose and you're just gently pulling your head back away from it and just doing this movement. Because a lot of times in the neck, we think about bending it forward and to the side and rotation, but we're actually doing it from that position. And that's part of the reason I keep on saying to get tall, right? Get your spine tall, get your neck tall, because that sort of brings you back to here instead of there. And that doing our movements and our stretches from more of a tall posture often makes it more relieving to stretch from there than to do it from that forward head position.
Great, thank you. Those are all our questions.
All right.
All right, so Neil, have a great weekend, and I hope everyone online also has a great weekend, and we will see you next week. Can't wait.
All right.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.